All right, gentlemen, here's the deal. If we get pretty good with women, or I guess even if we're not very good with women yet, we either are going out trying to date women who look cute with us and are hot, or we're actually out there actively dating women who look cute with us and are hot. But what if you started dating women who really added more to your life? I know, crazy thought, right? What if you started dating women who inspire you? That's tricky because we think of ourselves as the leaders, the masculine ones, the providers, the protectors, the ones who kind of are presiding over the relationship and someday over our households and our families. But that doesn't mean we're the only ones who should be inspiring the other people who we love in our family, including the woman we're with. She should absolutely inspire us too. Why? Because it's fun and because it's amazing. And because if you haven't tried it, you're missing out. My guest today is going to help you do that. Before I introduce you to him, I want to remind you that I am Scott McKay from X and Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. You can find me all over social media, usually at Scott McKay. Scott is with one T, SCOTMCKAY. The exception being Instagram, where I'm at Real Scott McKay because I didn't get there soon enough to grab my name. All right, so without anything further, my guest today happens to be a co-founder and CEO of a dating site platform called Seeking.com. And I'm sure he'll tell you about that. And he'll have a lot of other things on his mind, too, a lot of very interesting things. He and I are like brothers from a different mother, if my mother was born in Singapore, like his was. But he is currently from Orlando, Florida. Brandon Wade, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Scott, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. I love the topic, why you should date people who inspire you. And kind of coupled with that, the importance of building one's identity before you let someone else into your life. Now, I've heard the old trope, love yourself before you can love someone else. And if you don't have any self-respect, or you don't even know who the hell you are, you have no business inviting someone else into your life. This is a little bit different.
Yes.
This is, you should build your identity before you allow someone to come invade your identity on your behalf. Am I
Yeah.
onto something? Is that where you're going with this?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's actually beyond that because what you're talking about is knowing your happy place. If you're not in your happy place, somebody's gonna pull you in every different direction they want to pull you in, right? So you need to find your happy place first, so you know who you are. Now you can add to it. So it's very spiritual in nature.
You know, it's not like every chick who comes along is going to automatically be the manic pixie dream girl
Mm.
from a movie and be all happy go lucky and wanting to lift you out of your pit and take you to a happy place. She may capitalize upon your low place. She may have poor intentions and want to take from you. She may even drag you down further because she feels like she's found her huckleberry and being miserable. All of those things could happen and they're all dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah, it is because in a crazy sense, most people in this world have not found where they want what they ultimately want, right? So they are out there searching. And when you encounter people like that, and if you don't know where you are, you will get pulled in all types of direction because they themselves are, in a sense, still searching for their truth.
So many of us, including men, and we're supposed to be the ambitious ones. You know, everybody knows that ambition, having a plan is super attractive to women. But so many of us, either because we got too busy, right? Or because we were just lazy, or a combination of both, right? We just wake
Yeah.
up today and do the same thing we did yesterday. That's kind of a tragedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, I searched, I kind of, when I reached puberty, I
I
wanted a
think we were all
girlfriend.
searching when we reached puberty. To be
Yeah, we
perfectly
we
frank.
did. Like in, I wanted a girlfriend so bad when I was a teenager. It's kind of funny, and I'm shy and I'm nerdy and I'm just not sort of confident enough to do that. And it's funny because my mother told me something that sort of rings very true even today. And she said, don't worry about the women. You should focus your attention on your school because you need to become successful. That is the key. And if you're not successful yet, then you're just wasting your time because all that attention that should be focused on to what's most important now is focused on women, right? But
Said
then you're
no
not.
other Asian parent ever, I'm sure.
Yes,
Ever.
it's a rather common sort of teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just Asian parents. It's upper middle class white parents. It's Middle
Yeah.
Eastern parents. It's Jewish
Yes.
parents. It's a whole
It's
lot
all
of
parents,
parents.
really.
Really,
Yeah,
kind
a
of
lot of
is. Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
Because they're giving that advice from their experience.
If it's not Johnny, go
Yeah.
to the corner store and buy me a carton of cigarettes. It's focus on your homework. It's one or the other.
I was just sort of contemplating because the problem for me is I then achieve success and I'm in my 30s, very successful, high six-figure income and still unable to find women because the dating game, the entire dating industry is sort of rigged against people like who are successful, right?
Wait,
It's
that's a very
designed,
hot take. How so? How is the dating industry? Now we're talking about a dating industry here. How is it
yes.
rigged against successful people? Tell.
Well, it's not rigged against successful people. It's rigged against people who are successful but may not fit the sort of popular understanding that they have to be attractive, they have to be, all of those physical attributes, right? Because out of MIT, after I graduated, I joined a video sort of, one of those video dating agencies, and I had to go record a video and watch women's video. I got zero dates out of that entire experience. I joined Match.com like you did. You met your wife there, but I had very bad luck. I wasn't, I couldn't even get a date. I would send thousands of messages and only get a few response. And my standards were too high. And I had to lower my standards to date more average looking women that I was not really attracted to in order to get a response. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I need to invent a machine that allows me to date the types of women I'm attracted to, which, fortunately or unfortunately is what all men think are attractive, right? Like as a society, we all have a specific standard to attraction.
Now that's an incredibly interesting concept.
Yeah.
The platform that serves my needs isn't there, so I'm going to go invent it.
Yeah.
I don't think men think like that. I think men say, I want to write a book and I'm going to go impress a bunch of publishers until one of them wants to publish my book. Whereas, why don't you just open a publishing house and be your publisher and then start publishing other people?
Yeah.
For years, I've been into the sport of BMX, as these guys know. And I was never a very good BMX racer, okay, especially compared to my kids. My goodness, they're geniuses. But I wanted to race for a factory team because back in the early 80s, that was like the coolest thing ever to race for a factory team. Well, I am proud to say, and this is one of my, two truths and one lie statements when you do a social icebreaker, like at church or a social club, is I rode for a BMX racing factory team, which is true because I started the team and I rode on it. So, see, this is that kind of out of box thinking that men who are leaders, men who are trailblazers follow. So tell me, because I have guys I've coached who, graduated from places like MIT and, MIT is not a haven for hot chicks. I'm sure. I'm sure if you are a hot chick at MIT, you're pretty popular.
We actually go to Wellesley, which is our sister college,
Yes. Well, Wellesley's
to
a different
date.
story.
So
Yeah. Smart, sharp chicks whose daddies love them. Yeah, that they abound there. But guys from Ivies, guys with high IQ, in general, tend to be guys who overanalyze themselves into oblivion. They run an if-then loop, and then suddenly every woman in the world has a reason not to be attracted to them because that turns into a negative vortex very
mhm.
quickly. And guys who are STEM oriented, your engineers of the world, your mathematically left-brained guys, um, they'll overanalyze, and sometimes they suffer a little bit with the more artistic piece, the art rather than the science of attraction.
Oh yeah.
So I have a lot of guys like that listening, right? And they all want to hear how did you make your platform different? Why is seeking for guys like you and for them?
So because you have focused so much of your attention on success and your education, whatever your craft is, to get so good in it requires a lot of focus and attention. You have not focused on the human elements of relationship, like going on a date, how to speak to a beautiful woman, how not to get nervous, right? All of those things, you now have to focus on that. But you need a platform that gives you the opportunity to go and actually practice. That means you need a platform where the women are attracted to men like you, right? And the benefits that people like you can offer, which is, thoughtful relationships, clearly very out of the box thinking to be able to sort of grow and really focus on things and make something successful. If you can succeed in your career, you can succeed in relationships because that element or characteristics is the same thing, right? So seeking was born seeking arrangement, and back then it was about sugar dating and sugar daddies and sugar babies because traditionally sugar sugar daddies actually came out of San Francisco. There was a sugar tycoon, right, a baron, and he happened to have a very young wife, and she was just affectionately calling him sugar daddy, my sugar daddy. So it became a thing. Fast forward, that was a great concept, and a lot of women came. And so when we launched the site, there was more women looking to meet successful men than there are actually men. On regular dating apps is the opposite, right? Every three men join, every one woman joins. So on other mainstream apps, it's more, way more men than women because there's no reason for women to go on dating apps, you see, because one night stands is not something that's great to boast about. They actually it's more like a, walk of shame in the morning. You know what I'm saying? But how do you engineer that? So we engineered a platform where now more women join because they are really attracted to success. And so the men who can afford can now have access to that pool of women. And the ratio has been turned around 4-1. Response rates went from under 1% when I was using Match.com to now over 50%. When I write to a woman, more than 50% of the time they will respond. And these are beautiful women. These are high caliber women. So the engineering of the platform made it so that I was able to get the attention, and therefore dating became easy for me. And by God, when I first started, I was terrible, right? My first date, I probably fumbled, I was nervous, but then the women there are really just nice. They care about really getting to know me and knowing why I'm successful and learning from me, and that sort of connection is ultimately what, where love comes from, right? When you actually know somebody deeper. So now with more practice, dating became so easy for me. Then I was by 2014, I was out there saying, hey, love is a concept invented by poor people because hell, it's so easy for me to date. So what is this love thing about that you have to lie about to get women to want to date you? So I thought the concept of love was just crazy. Because dating became so easy for me. So I was pursuing all types of relationships, right? In a sense, I've been married 3 times before because I made wrong decisions. And every time I make a wrong decision, I'm adjusting my approach. I'm never going to repeat the same mistakes again, but I'm going to try something new. So I got to a point where, I was experimenting with every type of relationship configuration I can think of. And by the age of 50, I was alone. I spent my 50th birthday alone. And I just was like, how come I've invented this contraption that allows me to date the most beautiful women in the world? And here I am at 50 alone, spending my 50th birthday by myself in Hawaii. Um, and, and, and I just kind of, in a sense, at that moment gave up, right? I just was like, I don't know where to go now. But it is in that moment of giving up that I realized that what I was looking for, which was physical attractiveness, the sort of more sexual attraction component, is not the answer. It is a part of it, but that's the wrong place to focus because I was dating women that was beautiful, but really didn't have goals, were lost, was and they couldn't help me. They couldn't help advance my love. I had to always help pull them up, and it was really really tough. I tried other types of configuration. I had to prove out the Hugh Hefner model. He was one of my idols when I was a teenager. I saw the Playboy magazine, and immediately I was like, I want to be like that guy. So I actually lived it out. I had multiple girlfriends, and it was horrifying. the drama, it just didn't make sense. And then I had to run sort of a thought experiment in my mind, which is, what if you were dating, say, three women, and you were in a spaceship, and there was a pod, an escape pod, and it was going to explode the ship, and there was only two seats, who would you choose? And you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, well,
Only an
if
engineer would think like that, but
yeah,
continue.
but
Go
I had to
ahead.
run through that thought experiment.
Sure.
So
Sure.
my conclusion at the end is more is not better. It's finding the one that will make you choose her over everything else because she is so good.
These guys were listening to you talk, and towards the beginning there, I think they're all kind of licking their chops, going, oh man, Scott's going to rip this guy a new one. This guy is going to talk about dating women who inspire you when he's running a sugar daddy site. Oh, please. Because I have not been kind to sugar daddy sites. But I let you continue, and I'm glad I did for two reasons. First of all, you did absolutely equate that transactional nature of a sugar daddy site, right? An arrangement site, literally tit for tat, right? With the transactional nature of like a Tinder, where I'm meeting you to hook up with you. So the women are looking to guys who are successful for financial gain, and they're doing that on sugar daddy, sugar baby sites. And men are looking to Tinder or Bumble, etc., looking to hook up. Now that's stereotypical on the dating app side, and I think certain dating apps evolved, like Hinge. I'm looking at you, but you did acknowledge how the transaction tends to be centered differently between heterosexual men and heterosexual women. So if you're a guy, and you are, and by your own admission, you were saying, on paper, the number one thing I have to offer is cash, success. And so why not leverage that? Well, you're getting taken advantage of. Just like if a woman is hot and she's got a nice ass and she wants to find love, she knows she's going to have to give up some ass to not be lonely. Both of them are kind of demented and sad, but social, to quote the Breakfast Club movie. But what you did is you put a unique twist on it. You got all that practice, even if it was transactional in nature, with real women where you would not have had any practice before. And as you got that practice, well, what you learned was there's a way to relate to women socially that's powerful and acceptable and works in a way that doesn't work so much. You had the benefit of that trial and error, and you got better socially. So the next thing you know, you've got more to offer a woman, right? And then ultimately you got to the point where, okay, I'm getting a little bit of organic success here. They like me for me, not just because of the dollar signs next to my name. And so I didn't have to be tall, handsome, good looking, or whatever. Not to say you're not any of those things. I have no idea. But it changed you. And then the next thing you know, when you were able to live out that Hugh Hefner dream, right? You say, this isn't enough. Her being beautiful isn't enough. I need more depth. And that's where you absolutely organically came to this conclusion that you should be inspired a little bit more. Like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. I want a woman who inspires my mind as well as my loins, right? So how has that played for you since you made this transformation? Let's talk about dating a woman who inspires you and how that's changed your life.
Well, it's funny because after the 50th birthday, I gave up and I actually
Yeah.
called a psychic and she told me, and I recorded that psychic reading, but she told me you're actually supposed to meet her now. I'm like, meet who? Well, the one. You're about to relocate. I'm like, I'm not relocating, My business is right in Las Vegas at that time, and I wasn't relocating. But interestingly enough, a week later, Dana messaged me on Seeking, and we exchanged numbers, and I spoke to her that evening for 4 hours, and I was like, we were talking about our childhood and our upbringing, and our interests and what we want, what we dreamt about the future. And I was inspired. And I was so inspired, I booked a ticket the next day and I said, Dana, I know you're in the middle of your finals, but can we meet? And, and she said, well, I'm free on Friday, maybe after school, and so I flew down to Orlando to meet
Finals.
her.
Are you robbing the cradle here, Mr. Brandon?
Uh, no, she was at that time a sophomore at UCF. So
And
yeah,
you're how old?
I was 50 at that time,
And
and
she's
she
how
was
old?
20. She's 20 at
Nice.
that time. Yeah, so there's a
A
30-year
lot of
age
guys
gap.
are starting to listen to you extra closely now. Continue.
Yeah. So we chatted for 4 hours on the phone that night. I flew out to Orlando. I met her, and we chatted all night. And we left, and I then invited her to Vegas a week later, and I asked her, "Would you be my girlfriend at that point?" Right in front of the Bellagio fountains, actually at dinner, and she said yes. And really, the rest was history. A few months later, I bought a house here in Orlando. I wanted to be close to her, and both of us were never thinking of marriage. In fact, I was in the process of writing a book, which was about how marriage is actually a scam because I'd done it 3 times and I did not find happiness. And here I am. We suddenly a year into the relationship decided, hey, let's get married, but let's do it our way. Let's waive our right to a divorce. Let's not do it with a prenup. Like this is it. I found my partner, somebody I know will take me further. It's really a partnership because if you're about to fly a plane and you have a co-pilot, you want to make sure that co-pilot knows as much as you, and in fact is better than you, right? Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question
So
for you that's purely objective. So I promise I'm
yes,
not taking this in a negative direction. This isn't a hit piece. I always try to make my shows a positive experience for my guests. But I think
yes.
I think a lot of inquiring minds out there want to know.
Mm.
You're 30 years older than her, and she's 40% your age.
Hmm.
How did you handle meeting the parents?
It's funny because Dana's parents, I would say, really raised her very well. They're both NASA engineers. Um, yeah. So they're very educated. They have sort of instilled in their two daughters the value of education and all of those things. So in a sense, I've obviously been with different women, and a lot of them had age gaps, and different parents treat me differently, right? But they were really respectful. And I call them dad and mom today. They are 3 years older than me. But it's in a crazy sense, I'm a child at heart. So I don't actually see that age gap that most people do. For me, that's an invisible thing. I just don't focus on it.
Huh. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a state of mind. If it's something you're worried about, other people will worry about it. And frankly, as long as the two of you have decided you're good for each other, it doesn't matter what other people think. It isn't up to them.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
man, I can only imagine Dana kind of ripped off one of these to her mom and dad. Hey, guess what? I met an MIT guy and he really likes me. And they're like, "Oh, that's wonderful, honey." And left out maybe a few details there up front until they met you. And then when they like you, a multitude of discomfort and awkwardness and other potential, you know, downsides are all covered when they like you. I've noticed that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. All right. So, what would you tell guys who are saying, look, you know what, Brandon Scott, it's 2026. It isn't 2014. I could just get on Claude AI and get practice. I could tell Claude, hey, just act like a hot chick and we're on a first date and let's workshop this together. Why is it so necessary? And I know this is a loaded question, but I'm going to let you riff away on it. You're already shaking your head going, oh God, no. Um, why is it so important to meet women, real actual women, and practice with them to get better with them?
You talk a lot about confidence, Scott, and the importance of confidence. Um, how are you going to build that confidence if you don't have practice? Because that's really the only way. So in front of a woman, you need to know how to behave. You need to know what works, what to say, what not to say. I learned my lesson. Once a woman sort of on a date was asking me, could you tell me sort of one thing you would change about me? I was so stupid back then. I was such a nerd. You know what I'm saying? That's a trap question. You never answer
Boy,
that
is that
question.
ever a trap question. Well, you could kind of lose some weight there in the caboose, honey. That's the first thing I'd change about you. You're no second date there.
Exactly. So, and it causes damage when you answer questions like that too, because she's already insecure, which is the reason she's asking that question. And I know the pickup artists talk about, exploit the insecurities to get laid, but
Yeah, the old negging
oh
trope, as if
man,
women who are already lacking in self-esteem need to be knocked down off their pedestal a bit. That's so
oh,
lame, isn't
it's
it?
it's
Yeah,
terrible.
bad
It's
advice.
terrible.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But I learned the hard way through experience, right? That my words matter and my behavior matter and what I think versus what I say matters. So I have to be very thoughtful because I don't want to cause more harm to others. I really don't. But that's stuff that you learn when you have experience, you see. So you have to go out there and practice. But even more so, a lot of women, on Seeking are very experienced at dating because they are some of the most attractive people. So they have had no problems. Dana, by the time she met me, had dated men who, she was basically at the top of a sorority, and she was dating the president of another fraternity, and so she knows what it's like to date younger people and people with goals and different stages of life. So by the time she met me, she was very experienced. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of women are like that. So they can actually help the nerd if you're honest and explain that, hey, I am actually don't have a lot of practice in this. They will actually guide you simply by being vulnerable and honest, which is another sort of difference between Seeking and all the other dating apps out there, right? We tell people be completely brutally honest about everything. My profile was like 3, 4 pages long. Exactly what I want, exactly what I don't want, exactly what I'm like, my quirks, my problems, all that stuff completely laid out. And you know what? Dana read that and she wasn't afraid of that. She wasn't scared by what I wrote. In fact, she became extremely curious. So that's a self-selection as well.
I really loved how you answered the question that I originally asked. You elaborated on it beautifully as well. But yeah, indeed, all those guys who are thinking, okay, well, I have a cheat code here. I get on ChatGPT, I get on Claude, and I have it go into girlfriend mode and I practice with a girl. And they're thinking, hey, this is a huge advantage because these LLMs have the benefit of all this internet knowledge. They know when I'm doing the right thing, they can tell me when I'm messing up. But you know what? They'll tell everybody when they're doing something right, and they'll tell everybody when they're messing something up. And all of those LLMs are Mr. Nice Guy. They're not going to kick you to the curb, and they're going to be exactly the same. And their personality, if you want to call it that, isn't going to waver. And what I loved about what you said is, yeah, you can get practice, but you're not going to get real confidence from that. You
Hmm.
may get the knowledge, but you're not going to get the mindset because artificial intelligence can't give you a real mindset. So, yeah, what I tell guys is even go out there and practice with women you're not dating. Practice with the woman at the bank, behind the counter at the convenience store after you pumped your gas, whatever. Because any practice with any real woman is going to be of great benefit. And you found that firsthand. And I love that. I
Yes.
love that about your answer because I think it's profound. I have a question.
Yeah.
Was Dana a sugar daddy, sugar baby arrangement to begin with? And it evolved from there?
That's the thing, right? Sugar
I
daddy,
mean, is that
sugar
why she was
baby.
there?
No, that's not why she was there. She was there because her sorority sisters were all using Seeking, and so they told her about the experiences they had. One was flown to New York for a huge event that she attended, and another was going on another trip, and they were just having such extravagant sort of experiences that they would never get dating just normal people. So they were just bragging to her, and very so when her relationships kind of ended with that the president of the fraternity, she was just thinking, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. I want to meet guys like that, CEOs of companies, people who have actually made it, because she's very ambitious herself. So she joined, and I had on my profile, I had the founder badge and I was plastered, across the board because I gave myself that visibility, because I could. But guys today can go on Seeking and buy that, right? They become diamond members, they get more clout. And we're about to introduce another one, which is the founder badge. And you can be like me, you get all the beautiful women. The moment they log on, they're going to see you. You get the first stabs, right? They're going to read your profile first. And so you get that first shot. So
Yeah, you
she
don't
wrote,
need it anymore anyway.
I don't need it, but I'm going to offer that to any other of my customers because I want to help them find the same thing.
All right, Brandon. So how has Dana inspired you?
She's smart, and so she challenges me. I don't get away with shit. She calls me out when I'm wrong. I respect her for that. A lot of people, I'm surrounded by a lot of yes people because I'm rich, and so I'm a boss. Whatever I say goes. So a lot of times you can get into this echo chamber where everybody's just yes, yes. And it's so easy to get trapped in that shit, right? You need people who are close to you who can call you out when you're truly wrong. That is total respect. I respect that. And because I know deep down inside, she cares for the real me, not my ego. So, and she has big dreams and she just like me, she wants to make a difference in this world. We are the new tagline for Seeking is date people who make life better. The moment we wake up each day, by the time we go to bed, did we leave this world better than we woke up this morning? That's the difference. She has that, I have that.
Any kids in the future or present?
I think we're planning to have one, at least to start with one, but that's gonna be the next project. Our project, after spending 2 years
Spoken like a
retired.
true MIT guy.
Yeah, yeah. The project because it is. It's a love project, right? Yeah. And right now
I'm
we're
not going to
focused
disagree.
on yeah. Right now we're focused on fixing the dating app, and then once we're done with that, and we can sort of hand it off to the right leadership, we can move on to Project Love.
Fantastic. His name is Brandon Wade. He is the co-founder and CEO of Seeking.com, lives in Orlando, Florida, with his lovely honey, Dana, who we met on Seeking.com. And when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/seeking, you'll be teleported to the site so you can see it for yourself and maybe even give it a whirl. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. Man, what great insight. You brought a lot to the table that I didn't see coming. And I hope guys are inspired to inspire women and be inspired in return by them. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And gentlemen, guess what? I've got a brand new audio program for you on how to meet shy women and quirky chicks. Yeah, you want some practice. It doesn't have to be with women in little black dresses at nightclubs. No, the kind of women most guys really like aren't the stereotypical ones. And this little audio program for $15 will show you exactly how to attract, talk to, relate to, and ultimately build a relationship with exactly those kinds of women. Go to mountaintoppodcast.com/shy women and get you some. Also want to remind you guys that our 3 longtime sponsors of the show, Jocko Willink's company Origin in Maine, also Hero Soap and the Keyport are all there for you to really outfit you in some really seriously manly gear. And you can use the coupon code Mountain10 with any of our longtime sponsors and get you some for 10% off. All of those links and a whole bunch of other things, a bunch of other goodies are all there for you at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X and Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.